Few mysteries have lasted as long as the Beale Ciphers, and fewer still have inspired both cryptographers and treasure hunters at the same time. The claim is simple and explosive. 3 encrypted messages describe a buried cache of gold, silver, and jewels hidden in Virginia in the early 19th century. One cipher is said to reveal the exact location, one describes the treasure contents, and one names the owners and heirs. If true, it would be one of the largest hidden fortunes in American folklore. But the mystery is not just about wealth. It is about credibility. The Beale case sits in that dangerous middle ground where partial technical success and dramatic storytelling overlap. Enough details look concrete to keep people engaged, yet enough critical evidence is missing to prevent closure. That tension has kept the story alive for over a century. The story's public source is an 1867 pamphlet called the Beale Papers, circulated more widely in the 1880s. According to that narrative, a man named Thomas J. Beale discovered immense treasure in the West, transported it east, and buried it in Bedford County, Virginia around 1820. Beale then entrusted a locked box to an innkeeper, Robert Morris, giving instructions tied to a delayed opening if he failed to return. Years passed. Beale never came back. The box eventually yielded encrypted texts. After further transfer to an unnamed associate, one message was reportedly solved while 2 resisted all attempts. Already, you can see the architecture of a classic enduring mystery: dead or missing principal characters, delayed disclosure, broken chain of custody, and just enough technical detail to feel authentic. It reads like testimony, but it functions like narrative design. To understand why this puzzle became so sticky, focus on how the 3 ciphers divide information. Cipher 1 allegedly gives location. Cipher 2, the one considered solved, lists treasure contents. Cipher 3 identifies rightful heirs. This split is psychologically brilliant, whether intentional or accidental. The solved message appears to validate the whole system by giving specific inventory details, but it withholds the one thing everyone wants most: where to dig. The unsolved first cipher then becomes a permanent trigger for effort and speculation. Meanwhile, Cipher 3 adds ethical drama, implying that real descendants may be waiting for an inheritance trapped behind code. In other words, the structure creates a self-renewing quest. Each generation can believe prior efforts were close but incomplete. The case does not need proof of treasure to sustain interest, it only needs recurring uncertainty plus a plausible path to breakthrough. The technical centerpiece is Cipher 2, often described as decoded through a book cipher approach using the U.S. Declaration of Independence as the key text. In this method, each number points to a word position in a known document, and extracted words build plaintext. The resulting message claims large amounts of gold and silver, plus jewels, secured in an iron vault. On its face, that looks like hard evidence. But book ciphers are extremely sensitive to text version and transcription quality. A small mismatch in wording or indexing can derail output. That fragility creates a critical challenge for modern verification. How confidently can we reconstruct exactly what historical participants used? A successful decode can be meaningful, but it can also be staged if the publisher controls both the ciphertext presentation and the claimed key logic. So Cipher 2 strengthens the legend while simultaneously opening deeper forensic questions about authorship and intent. After publication, the mystery escaped print culture and entered physical reality. People searched Bedford County repeatedly. Some relied on topographic hints and local lore. Others used emerging detection tools, archival maps, and collaborative theories about likely burial geometry. Yet no verified Beale vault has ever been produced. This matters because long-duration failure is itself data. Believers interpret that failure as evidence of incomplete decoding, altered landscapes, private discoveries kept secret, or search in the wrong microlocation. Skeptics interpret it as expected output from a fictional prompt. Both interpretations can absorb new disappointments, which is why the hunt never fully collapses. Once a puzzle acquires a community, published interpretations, and sunk effort, it becomes culturally durable even without material confirmation. The Beale search thus functions as an early example of participatory myth. The audience does not merely consume the story, it perpetuates it through action. From a cryptanalytic standpoint, the unsolved ciphers are the core problem. Over decades, analysts have tried substitution strategies, transposition models, pattern analysis, alternative codebooks, and computational testing. If ciphers 1 and 3 came from the same coherent system as Cipher 2, we might expect recurring structural clues. Instead, results have been inconsistent and non-convergent. That does not mathematically prove fraud, but it raises the likelihood that the set is heterogeneous, meaning one message may have been made solvable while others were not genuinely designed for eventual recovery. This bait-and-barrier pattern appears in many puzzle hoaxes: provide one convincing door that opens, then place the real prize behind walls that cannot be crossed. The one success anchors belief. The unresolved remainder harvests endless labor. In that model, technical uncertainty is not a flaw, it is the product's operating engine. Historical scrutiny sharpens those concerns. Investigators have looked for robust records confirming Thomas J. Beale as described in the narrative, and the evidence is weak and fragmented. Incomplete records are common in early American history, so absence alone is not decisive. But the Beale case accumulates multiple uncertainties: unclear provenance, anonymous intermediary, delayed publication, and economic incentive to circulate a dramatic pamphlet. When those factors stack together, evidentiary confidence should drop, not rise. This is where many mystery narratives exploit a common bias. People treat old documents as inherently trustworthy because they survived, when survival only proves persistence, not truthfulness. A historical text can be influential and false at the same time. In Beale's case, the publication itself is real, the social impact is real, and the coded strings are real, but the underlying treasure narrative may still be manufactured. Major skepticism gained force through researchers like cryptographer Jim Gilligley and investigator Joe Nickell. Gilligley challenged the case from technical angles, questioning whether the cipher behavior supports the legend's implied authenticity. Nickell added linguistic and historical critique, including anachronistic wording in the Beale text and stylistic fingerprints that suggest later authorship patterns. One argument points toward James B. Ward, associated with the 1885 pamphlet publication, as a likely narrative architect. If true, that reframes the Beale affair from recovered secret to designed artifact. Importantly, this is not just accusation by vibe. Linguistic anachronism can be powerful evidence because language evolves with traceable timelines. When a text claiming early origin contains terms or usage styles that fit later decades better, the burden shifts to defenders to explain the mismatch. In historical forensics, style is often as revealing as signatures. Some interpretations go further and treat the Beale story as symbolic allegory rather than literal map, including readings that connect it to Masonic motifs of hidden vaults and moral inheritance. Whether or not that specific interpretation is correct, it highlights an important analytical move: ask what function a story serves beyond face value. Literal treasure narratives activate greed and adventure, but allegorical structures can also deliver social bonding, identity signaling, and controlled mystery within fraternal or intellectual circles. A text can be intentionally multi-layered, giving surface-level hunters one game and insider readers another. That possibility helps explain how the Beale legend can persist as both practical puzzle and cultural myth. People are not all chasing the same reward. Some want gold. Some want to crack a famous code. Others want to belong to a lineage of seekers who refuse to let uncertainty win. The Beale ciphers also teach a modern information lesson. In today's online environment, partial truths often scaffold large false narratives. A single verifiable component, like a decodable message, can lend disproportionate credibility to surrounding claims that are weakly sourced. Audiences then confuse internal coherence with external verification. The Beale case is an analog-era version of this pattern. It offers a solvable technical fragment embedded in a broader storyline with shaky provenance. That is exactly how durable misinformation ecosystems form: one strong anchor, many speculative extensions, and communities invested in continuation. Studying Beale is therefore not nostalgic trivia. It is practical training for evaluating claims in finance, politics, health, and technology. The core discipline is the same across domains: validate source chain, separate mechanism from narrative, and demand independent corroboration before treating an elegant story as a factual one. So what should a balanced conclusion look like? The strongest defensible position is probabilistic, not absolute. It is possible a treasure once existed. It is possible one or more ciphers preserve meaningful information still undecoded. But based on available evidence, the hoax hypothesis currently explains more with fewer assumptions: uncertain historical actors, inconsistent source reliability, unresolved ciphers despite extensive effort, and publication dynamics that reward ongoing public fascination. In rigorous inquiry, we do not choose the most romantic answer, we choose the best supported one while staying open to revision if new evidence appears. That distinction matters because mystery culture often pressures people into false certainty, either total belief or total dismissal. The mature stance is neither. It is structured skepticism paired with evidentiary humility. In the end, the Beale ciphers may never yield a final revelation that satisfies everyone. But the case remains valuable precisely because of that unresolved status. It shows how stories acquire authority, how technical artifacts can be weaponized for belief, and how human desire can sustain a puzzle long after empirical momentum fades. The real payoff is not buried metal. It is methodological clarity. If you can examine Beale without being pulled off-center by treasure fantasy or cynical certainty, you have practiced a rare skill: thinking clearly inside an emotionally loaded narrative. That skill transfers everywhere. And maybe that is the final irony of America's most famous treasure code. The chest, if it ever existed, may still be hidden. But the intellectual tools needed to navigate uncertainty were in plain sight the entire time. If you found this helpful, please like this video and subscribe for more explainers.